G'day guys, how are you?
Good.
Welcome today
Thank you.
to the X Factor RTO. We're here today to an introduction into thoroughbred horse racing. Today's performed duties as a thoroughbred starter. So, anybody here knowing about horse racing? No. Watch it.
Back in.
Anyone tell me a Melbourne Cup winner?
Yeah.
Oh,
Without
there you
fight.
go, there's one.
Mackay Diva.
Yeah, how many she win?
3.
Oh yeah, very smart man. You got anything?
American.
Come on, Roy, give me
American.
some. American, very well done, well done, well done. Very good. So today we have 3 half-hour sessions, and hopefully by the end of the day you'll understand how to perform duties of a horse starter, a race starter. So today we've got exits to your left or right, and a fridge. Help yourself to whatever you want, coffee, whatever you want, any time you like. All right. So today we're going to get started. First session is about pre-race starting. So what we need to do to get ready to be ready for a pre-race start. So the first things that come to us is we get the horse fields, which you'll see in front of you. You've got one sheet of all in front of you there. And that has all the jockeys' names on them and the barrier draw for a certain race. But so what can also happen with racing is in the morning horses can be scratched. So we've got to adjust these when we arrive on course. So if I say to you, race 9, we have scratchings in that race 1, 7, 12 and 14. Well, so this is a sheet I prepared earlier. So this is what you would do. You put a line through 1, 7, 12 and 14. And in race 10, we also have 2 and 11 scratched. So we get that every time we come, we get a scratching sheet as you come into the office, and this is how we do it. Then you go through your sheets. And also, there'll be some horses require gear on them. And in race 9, number 8 requires a blindfold. So when you get to the start, you can instruct your barrier attendants that this horse needs a blindfold on it. So if everyone could go through that. So race 9 again, our scratchings are 1, 7, 12 and 14. So any way you like, just make sure you can scratch them.
Okay, so that's Melbourne,
112.
Coffee,
1, 7, 12 and 14.
McNeil and McAvoy.
Oh, nice one. 2 and 11 in race 10.
They've had it easy, no?
7 o'clock.
Well, they haven't done the numbers going down, so I'm going in the saddle cloth.
No, so we did the numbers because if you'd have done the numbers prior to the scratching the horse, you'd have gaps in your barriers.
So is it saddlecloth 2 and 11, or is it
No, so
it's horse 2
Williams and
and 11?
McAvoy?
yeah, horse 2 and 11. Yeah, horse 2 and 11 in that race. That's correct. Yeah. So,
So I've done it wrong. 11's right.
and 2.
Oh, it is by the saddlecloth.
Yeah, by the saddle cloth,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
So is mine correct?
2 and 11, that's okay. Yep. And you haven't done this race yet.
No, the first race.
Yeah, right.
1, 7, 12,
1, 7, 12 and 14. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Just a little trick when you're doing, try not to scrub the number out. So if you're behind the barriers and you make a mistake or something like that, then you let's scrub that number out and you can't remember, you can't see. So it'll be a bit difficult to change your thing if you have to change your paperwork if you have to. So for instance, in this one, a little circle around it. So you can still see the number, if you need to identify that number.
And was it horse 8 in race 9 that had a blindfold?
Yes, correct. Also, when we go through our fields, horse 8 with a blindfold, obviously he's got a blindfold on for a reason. So he'll be a problem horse for the day. So you understand that he's a blindfold, barrier, blanket or whatever else, but it's on it for a reason. And that horse, if you haven't come across him before, one of the barrier boys might, or someone like that will understand exactly what that horse does, and then you're able to work from there. Okay, any questions, or pretty straightforward?
That's good.
Do you get these all races at the start of the day, or do you?
Every race, no, all races at the start of the day, so you can go through, because everything, the scratches are done early in the day, obviously. But you have to keep an eye on it, if you're late scratching during the day, you'll have to change your sheet.
Yep.
So, with starting, obviously we have the race start, and if something goes wrong at the race start, we have what they call a false start, which is down 200 metres down the track, it's a red flashing light. So when we get to the start, we must understand that that's got to be set up. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, you can't stop the race. So that's one of our requirements as we get there, and that works by hitting a button, that on your stand, to turn it on to bring all the horses back if something goes wrong. All right.
And what would go wrong? What's an
Or
example
a
of
horse,
something going wrong?
yeah, question, a horse might burst through the front of the barriers just as you hit the button, so he gets a head start. And that's,
Yep.
obviously not allowed, you've got to bring them back. Horse might stay in the barriers, but that's okay, we're not allowed to let them go.
So if a horse jumps early, do you have a signal that tells you, or is it just by yours?
By eye,
By your
but you'll see
signs?
by eye, obviously, but there will be noise, because you will break through it, so you'll also hear that as well. Very, very doubtful that will happen, but it can happen, and that's why that evolves.
So what happens if he breaks through?
If he
Oh,
breaks
yeah.
through as you hit the button and
Yeah.
he gets a head start,
Yeah,
you've got to hit that button.
call back.
And all the jockeys know that
Yeah.
they see that light and there's a very, very loud siren, they are to come back. So it's your decision as the starter,
Yeah.
is that a fair start or not?
And the horse that breaks still gets to
Yeah,
complete
complete,
the race.
yeah,
They get reset
yeah,
too.
All get paid.
yeah, they'll all get completed the race, yes.
Mm.
So the rules of starting are this, is that the horses must enter into the barriers in barrier order. So from 1 to 16.
Yeah.
Go that way. So someone can't come around and say, I want to go in late. Not allowed. Everyone's got to go in their time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right.
So if that's
I
the
see
case, would
something.
owners or trainers prefer to get a mid barrier then? Because then they're not in super early and then they're not in
No,
last
yeah,
minute.
no. Well, I think they're happy to be. I think the stats say that the inside barriers
Inside.
are better barriers.
Yeah.
A little bit longer. It's our job to get them all in there really quick,
Mm.
so they're not disadvantaged. That's the way we look at it.
Yeah,
So when we get to the start, you'll be required to talk to the attendants, talk to everybody, organise who puts whoever in what barrier, what horse, who's looking after your blindfold, doing all sorts of things like that. So you get around there, you run your teams, you run the thing, you're in charge when it's time to go, confirm with stewards, all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much the pre-race activities. Is there any sort of questions on that? You're all pretty happy with
So
it?
if this race is to jump at 5:15,
Yes.
what time do you start putting them in the barriers?
Well, it depends.
Depends how many horses.
How many horses? But with a big field, obviously, a bit longer.
Yeah.
So for 16 runners, you might go 2 minutes, minute and a half,
Oh, 2 minutes
Yeah.
before.
maybe, depending on how big the fields are. Younger horses take a bit longer.
Yeah.
But generally, most races take about a minute. That's what you want to aim to.
Yeah.
Your start time, you want to be somewhere in between, so it's 2 o'clock, 2:15 seconds, or 2.5, just inside half a minute, because we have races obviously banking up behind us,
Yeah.
and we want to keep
Yeah.
the TV companies happy, really, that's what that's about, and the
Yeah.
partner happy and all that sort of stuff.
These two races are quite different. The saddle cloths are all in order for race
Yeah,
9.
well,
And
it's
they're
just,
out of order
yes,
for race 10.
gotta be on it, yes, yeah.
So what's the order that you put them into the barriers? By saddle cloth?
No, so,
Or
you,
by
by here.
the order on the list?
So,
We haven't been told their barrier number yet.
yeah, no, all the barriers will come out, so once you put the scratchings through, then you run down the side. Okay, so one
And you
to,
just start at one at the top,
yeah, one right down to the
and
bottom.
then you determine
Yeah.
that's how that
Yeah,
determines.
so that's how that determines, so, and they're the barriers the horses go into.
Yeah.
So when we're loading the horses, or you're loading the horses, you go, Tim Clark is in the barrier, is it 8 there?
Mhm.
Yep.
And he's on number 10. So you might know Tim Clark, but you can see that number
You
10
can see the 10 on
is
that.
going into A,
Yeah.
so that's perfect. And the same the other way around.
Yeah.
So generally, you know the jockeys, but when very much the best way to work is off the saddle cloth number into the barrier number. It's a much safer way of doing things.
And so the ones that are scratched, were they not given a barrier?
No. So, well, it doesn't really work. They were given a
Originally
barrier.
they were.
Originally they were. Originally he would be one, Ben Mellon.
Right.
But now Mark Zara's gone because he's got a scratch.
Right,
And
so
he would have been,
So you're
say,
moving.
6.
But-
So moving, okay.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he becomes
But
number
that's
one.
different for the Melbourne Cup though, isn't it?
No, it's
Don't
all
they
right.
get? Oh, yeah, okay.
And the difference,
Just lots more
Melbourne
of them.
Cup, we don't have, emergencies, so.
Yeah, well, that's,
It helps.
that helps.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That obviously helps a bit. So I'm recapping, yeah, so that's, as we get to this is vital for you guys to understand where your horses are going and where you can allocate your staff to. Obviously you need the barrier draw, so integrity is very important in racing, so we've got to make sure they all go in the right spot. Otherwise the race is null and void and it costs a lot of people money. Safety is also a big issue. Being around horses, staff around horses, you know, you've got to keep yourself, in safe spots. Keep your staff safe, or as safe as possible. So if you're dealing with horses, there's always be incidents. And we've got to be on time. They're the three main things for starting. Safety, integrity and timeliness. So that's nearly our first session over and done with. Anyone's got any questions? Want to recap anything? Or
What happens if there was an emergency?
as in the barriers or?
Yeah, like do you know if it's an emergency or does it just run down? Like
Oh,
it's
so the
just-
horse,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
horse gets a run.
Yeah, sorry, not
not
yeah.
an incident emergency. So if a horse gets a run in the field, he'll be in this field, right?
So always in the field.
He's
yeah.
always in there. So there's an emergency if he's scratched. And things
Gotcha.
like that, yeah.
Gotcha.
But if he's not, his name will still be there. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if all the top 10, if it was a 10 horse race, top
Yeah.
10 were in,
Yeah.
the bottom ones get scratched automatically.
Say there was 10 runners and 11 emergencies. 10 runners and 2 emergencies, so there's 12 runners. There'll be 12 horses named.
And 11 and 12 would automatically be scratched.
If they're
everyone
scratched,
else was
you
running.
scratch them, no, you put it
Yeah,
through yourself.
yes. Maybe.
They'll be
You might have 2 horses in the field that have been scratched, right? So they come out, say your emergencies come in. So then that's when it comes into play for the barrier draws, because you might have 2 emergencies, yeah.
Yes, correct. Well done.
What did
Someone's
you say?
been practicing. Very well
Read the
done.
materials.
Yes. So yeah, that's mainly about it. And the LHS side of it, obviously, trying to keep yourself safe, trying to keep the barrier attendant safe, jockey safe, horses safe, big money, everyone involved. And yeah, so that's it. So recapping on our first session, make sure you got to make sure that your sheets are 100% right. And that's where you start from. Everyone starts from here, and then away we go. You drive to the start, from then we'll go on. Okay, everyone happy and understanding of where we're at?
Yeah.
Already, you've all got a good grasp of it, you've explained yourselves well.
Yep.
So we'll have a short break, and we'll be back for the next session.
Right, thank you.
Sorry, I